Oh, I'm loud anyways. But just in case anyone's trying to hide in the back, you'll still be able to hear me. So, hi, my name is Diane Toomey, and as Helena said, I was a patient here for 446 days. And Helena was my OT for most of that time, but in the beginning, I did have Christina as well, and some of you others too filled in, so thank you all. But I just want to start off by saying that first of all, I was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis 23 years ago, and I came to MGH then, and my doctor was Dr. David Kanarak, and he basically saved my life back then. And for the first 18 years, I was able to lead a normal life. I was a wife and mother. I worked, I volunteered, I played soccer up until I was 50 years old. And as Dr. Kanarak said, I played goalie because I couldn't run. So I could just go back and forth and that was fine. So anyways, I led a very full life. And enjoyed it, but the last several years prior to the transplant were tough, but we get through it. My husband and I even did a trip across the country. We did 28 states in 30 days with my oxygen machine, and we went to the Grand Canyon, you know, all the places, all the monuments from here to there, from here to California and back. So we've led a very good life, and I have 3 wonderful children. One of my sons, Stephen, is here tonight, and then of course my wonderful husband, who I never could have lived without, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories about my husband. Probably not all of them good. I'll tell you, they're all good. And I think Helena will agree with me. So anyways, so to get going, that was my life before. And then I had the transplant, and it didn't go as well as we had planned. But that's okay. You don't get everything in life you want. But unfortunately, the transplant, like I said, didn't go as well. And I suffered some blood loss. And I ended up going blind. So, but before the transplant, I couldn't really walk. I was on the ECMO for a period of time, and that sustained my life. And so now I can walk, I can talk, and I can breathe. I just can't see. So you give and take. And the one thing that this has shown us is you have to have a sense of humor to get through everything you do. Because without that, you know, life's not worth living if you can't live and enjoy it. And you have good days and bad days, whether you're sick or not. We all have our days. So, secondly, I would like to talk about how Helena has been so monumental in my care and my getting better. She is the gentlest, kindest, most patient person I have ever met. She would always come in every day with a smile, and she would just say, take your time, take your time, take your time. And she would just wait. I could sit there and do nothing. And she'd say, take your time, whatever you need. And, you know, but sometimes she was a hot ass too. She wouldn't always let me get away with stuff, even though sometimes I thought she would. But she taught me just the basic things, but I had to relearn them all because I was pretty much comatose for probably like 12 months out of the 15 months I was here. So to brush my teeth, wash my face from the basin, you know, just get into the bathroom. Yes, just the most basic little things. And then she started coming up with these great things. She would have me sit there and I would draw O's on a piece of paper. Just so, you know, so I could recognize the shape and do the OT, the fine motor with the hand, hand over hand, and that was, my daughter found a pen online she bought that has a guard. I guess a lot of patients with arthritis use it, and I can sign my name in a straight line now. And I think that's really from Helena showing me, how to do it over and over and over again. So I didn't lose that skill. And then she was so good to me. She also, through the OT, she would come into my room and she put all these little Velcro pieces on the hospital phone and on my remote control. And then she found a phone that my husband could purchase that would help me. And she spent all this time, every day she would practice, every day she came in, she would practice with me on the phone so I could recognize and remember where different numbers are. I'm not the kind of person who's tech savvy, so I don't remember on a phone where what is. The only thing I remember was on the hospital phone, the 5 had a little dot on it, so I could always find the 5 in the middle, and Helena taught me that. But with the phone, she also, between her and my husband, they came up with this idea that I couldn't communicate. I had a trach, so I couldn't talk. And up until a point, I was in my room because everybody had to wear a gown and a mask, and my door was closed. So I was very isolated, and it wasn't always the best of times, but you make do with what you have to do. So when my husband wasn't there, which he was in the beginning, was there about 22 hours a day, he'd come in the early morning, leave, and then come back later in the day and stay till the night. But he and Helena, they came up with a system where I could tap on the phone and he could call. He'd call every morning at 10 o'clock and he would ask me yes or no questions. And I would tap with my oximeter on my finger on the phone. 2 was 2 for yes and 3 for no. And then my sister called every night at 5 o'clock. And she would ask me yes or no questions because I couldn't talk, so I could just tap. They're like, are you good today? And I would say yes or no. So, I mean, that just became like another way for me to communicate. And I wasn't as isolated anymore. So it was really unique. But Helena was just, I can't tell you everything she did because it's too numerous. Like getting me the talking oximeter, the talking clock. I now have this great, oh, sorry, talking watch that when you're blind, you never know what time it is. And the way I tell, I watch a lot of TV now. Well, I listen to it. So if a show's on, I can know what time it is. But other than that, I never know what time it is. And I was always asking everybody, what time is it, what time it is? So between the clock Helena got me and now that I have my talking watch, I always know what time it is. So another little OT thing. You don't think of these things, but Helena kept thinking ahead. And for me, it was the best thing because she never stopped giving, and she gave so much. And even Christina in the beginning, I remember way back when I was in Blake 8, Christina, right? That's where I was. And Christina brought in, I think the first or second day, she brought in that little flex ball, and the other one that was like on a punching ball kind of thing. And I remember Abby, my PT, she broke the ball the first time she tried it. So, but those little things, they carry over. And now that I'm home, all these little things you taught me, and PT as well, I'm trying to carry them over and increase. My goal is to increase my independence because I haven't had it for so long. And that's my #1 goal, is to be as independent as possible. And through all your hard work, you have enabled me to be on the road to become successful in that area. So I really, really appreciate it, and I never could have done it without all your help. So thank you very, very much. I love you all. Thank you. So, yeah.
If anybody has any questions for Diane, you can probably ask her right now. She feels very comfortable with questions.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I wanted to tell a story and I forgot. And it's a real quick one, if you don't mind. One day, I don't need the mic. One day, I was at home and my husband was out and my daughter was with me. And she had given me a shirt. I put the shirt on. And that took a long time to be able to get dressed myself. Helena was always trying to get me to put pants on. I never would. It was an ongoing joke between the two of us. And anyways, so my daughter said, Mom, here, put your shirt on. So I put the shirt on by myself, and there was a few buttons, and I was able to button them myself. I was so excited. My husband called, and I said, Hon, guess what I did? He's like, what? I'm like, I put my shirt on by myself. He's like, oh, that's great. And then he says, I said, and I buttoned my shirt. He's like, oh, that's really good. So my daughter's sitting there, and she's going to be 27 in the fall, and all of a sudden, she puts on, you guys tech savvy, her phone, and she plays I don't know if you saw the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, and that little boy who's going to adopt, and the little boy's saying, but I wipe my own ass too. Alina taught me how to do that too. So when you're blind, that's huge. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Oh, sure.
Does anyone have any questions for Diane? I have one question. So my question, Diane, is what is your favorite part about life these days?
Basically, just living every day, waking up with my husband next to me. We've been together since he was 18, I was 17. So that was eons ago. And we just never separated. So the last year and a half was really tough for him, and not as much for me because I was out of it. But now just every day getting up, enjoying life, seeing my kids, talking to my kids, you know, just my sisters, my friends, my brothers, my father. It's just amazing to me that, you know, the littlest things, like I love having the window open and just listening to the birds. You know, you think about it here in the hospital, when you're in a room, you can't open your window, and I didn't get to go outside till probably I don't know, 12 months into it. So those little tiny things that we all take for granted. Like I said, just listening to a bird, something simple. Or listen to the neighborhood kids play outside now. You know, it's just the simplest things. Going to Five Guys. Going to Arby's. Just the small things in life. Getting an ice cream cone. You know, going down to the beach, and we went away for 3 days, and we went down, Mark brought me down to the beach, and just listening to the ocean and the seagulls, smell the ocean, and just listen to the seagulls. And he brought me down to the sand. You know, it's just those little things, like I said, take for granted. But just living life and enjoying every day. So, thank you.
So I'd like to just say something, since there were a lot of questions, I just wanted to add something. We spent 20 years like a freight train getting closer and closer to either a transplant or not getting it in the end. And to have what happened to Diane was just unfortunate. Just things happened and it didn't go well. And, you know, as Melina knew, the whole year plus that we went through this, and most of that time, things didn't look good. And I, at times, would be, my family overwhelmed with, even if she gets through this, how do we do this? You know, what does that look like? We thought she was going to be trach dependent, event dependent, and, but even then, how are we ever going to get through this? What's it going to look like? Because, you know, we take for granted that we can see what time it is or pick up a fork or whatever. And there were so many great people here, but Alina in particular, to embarrass her, went above and beyond and was relentless in being patient with me and helping Diane. And it was almost like she only had to kind of plant some seeds, and then I could see a path. Oh, you know, like with the phone, with Diane and I we couldn't talk. She couldn't talk to me for over a year. And if I wasn't there, if I was working, it was heartbreaking knowing I couldn't even communicate with her. And just when Helena taught her how to use the hospital phone, which at first I thought, what are you doing? And then we were able to tap, like we were in prison cells, you know? It opened the door. And so, you know, what you do is really important to people like me and my wife and my family. And it was hard to envision how we would have got through it. And, you know, so I can never repay you or thank you enough for that. And, you know, the lessons that you taught us, the things that you brought up, we're taking those and running with them now. And, you know, it felt like despair at times, maybe last July and August. And within a short period of time, we kind of found a way, and now we're basically, you know, rediscovering life. Just living it a little bit different, but, you know, so thank you, and Alina, thank you, you're the greatest.
I'm just going to add one thing very quickly. You both mentioned many things that I may have done for you over the year that you were here, but just I want everyone obviously to keep in mind that this entire department brainstormed so many things that I was just the person implementing for you. So that's the best part about working at MGH here, is that this entire department really was a part of your treatment team, because I would go back to the office every day and talk about you. And I think we treat many of our patients that way. So
What was she saying about me?
So I will extend a thanks to the entire department.
Oh, I just want to add one more thing. I forgot, for those of you, this is my son Stephen over here.
Over here.
Over here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.